I'd like to call this meeting to order. And first thing is we'll have her, Kelsey, do the roll call.
Councilmember Hensley.
Here.
Councilmember Kidwell.
Here.
Councilmember Teague.
Here.
Councilmember Ward.
Here.
Okay, we've got everybody here and accounted for. First, I'd like to ask Ms. Sharon Bowers to come up and lead us on the invocation. She's the pastor at Asbury United Methodist Church. And then we'll ask Tim Ward to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads.
I'm grateful to be here with all of you working together on behalf of the people of Greenville, Tennessee. We pause for just a few moments to acknowledge our source and our strength. It is the power of the Almighty that each of us live, move, and have our very being. So Greenville continues to move forward through new projects, stronger connections with the neighborhoods, and shared commitment to making this town a great place to live, work, and raise a family. That progress is a reflection of the people who showed up, the people who care deeply, and the people who work hard to build something better for all of us. Our town continues to make meaningful progress through new initiatives, stronger community partnerships, and a shared dedication to improving the quality of life for everyone. And so as we begin tonight's or this evening's meeting, let's take a brief moment to pause and to reflect on where we've come from, but more importantly, where we are going. So together we reflect with gratitude on the opportunity to serve this great community. And so this afternoon, may our conversations be guided by respect, understanding, and a shared commitment to the well-being of all members of this community. And as we get ready for Independence Day, it's just around the corner, we're reminded of the values that we share, the ones that unite us together: freedom, responsibility, and a belief in the power of community. So no matter what our background, our beliefs, we each have something to contribute and a role to play in shaping our future. And may we honor the diverse voices and the experience that shapes our town and strives to build a future rooted in fairness, inclusion, and hope. May this evening's meeting be the kind of meeting that brings respect, honor, and commitment for the good of all those who live in this great town called Greenville, Tennessee. In all that's holy we pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen. If you'll face the flag, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank everybody. Appreciate y'all coming today for the meeting. The first thing that we'll go through today is we've got some folks that have spent some time working with us and are going to look at other new things to go on. So I'd like to ask Patsy Fuller to come up and lead us through these folks talking with us.
As always, I'm so appreciative that I get to do this. And first one I'll call up is Eric Scott. Well, why don't we just call Eric Scott and Tim Davis? Police officer and captain. They have graduated. I had to say it took me years. No, they have retired. That's fine, wherever. Okay.
Only
you been with us? You? What was your name? What was your name?
Which one?
Okay, we'll just stop there.
That's the sheriff's department, yeah.
Okay.
There are several that can't be shared public
I can understand that.
in mixed company.
And you guys have already started new jobs? Congratulations.
Not yet.
Not yet,
I'm
where do
getting
you
there.
go?
Well, I have to wait 60 days.
Okay. You know what you are paying for, or planning for, guns down there? Does that seem to be okay?
We'll still call it active for his expertise. So, I've known Eric for quite a bit. He used to work for me on my shifts. He made it take a year. He always did a great job. I hate to have to see him go because where he was at right now, he was really doing fantastic. And it was because of this leadership right here that was his captain. I've known Tim for as long as I've been in this job. Wedding. And Tim tried to talk him out of it, but he didn't listen. That's true. And I should have. We work together, and I'll leave it at that. I love this guy with all my heart. I hated to see him have to leave. No, he didn't really want to leave. Okay, I'm just kidding. But he, just a fantastic guy. We're gonna miss him a lot.
Lose a lot of talent with the retirees. We appreciate everything they do for Denver. Include you, Tim.
I enjoy my job.
Okay, anything else?
Eric and Tim perform one of our jobs that's out there. And they make sure they're the backbone to make sure our community is safe and has a high quality life. And it's a great community that we have. You do a thankless, often unseen job. Especially when you're not out there on the street in front of everyone, you're behind the scenes of all the crimes. And it's often unseen. Not unnoticed because this community is a lot safer place. Thank you for what you do.
They get exposed to in their job is quite stressful. A little bit more sometimes than what patrol might get exposed to. Takes a lot of knowledge to do that job because you don't want to have 2 years, 5 years, 10 years wrapped up in an investigation and lose it because following. So we're going to miss these guys and their experience.
And thank you, sir. We have another surprise recognition, if you gentlemen would like to stay up here, because it is part of your department. Okay. If you'd like, please.
We always finish second.
This is something I wanted to do for a very long time. And I had for Kodak a certificate for retirement. He has spent 6 years with us. And Sean People as his caretaker. I see he's got a treat in his mouth. I also bought him some more treats. Okay? Put that certificate in this if you like.
find you in the next day
Yeah,
or
it
so.
was my fault.
I'll find you in the next day or so. I like that. Can I pet him? Can I pet him? No, that's why I was.
You're missing your picture. You're missing your photo op. Oh, he's missing his photo op.
Bano.
No, I don't.
Oh, yes.
Hold up
He's
there.
so excited. He's so excited.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They shout.
Hey, that's a mountain.
Thanks all.
All right, next thing I'd like to ask Scott Keith to come up. We've been having a lot of questions about the brush that we have around town and the fact that we're not getting it as quickly as some people have not been happy about it. And Scott's put together some information about how, thank y'all for coming. He's going to talk a little bit about how much wood we are finding over the last couple of months due to the storms that we've had here, so.
Yeah, it's up there. So yeah, the brush has obviously been an issue for the past couple of months. We had a couple of storms, maybe 2 or 3 weeks apart, and a lot of rain and everything combined. The trees are just falling, and I think that also paired up with a lot of people just doing annual trimming. It became quite an issue. I know a lot of it's been laying around out there for a while. I think we have turned the corner on it. The guys tell me that they're expecting to get back to their normal routes this week or first part of next week, and driving around at some of the heavier hit places, I think that'll actually be the case. But just to give an idea of the effort that's being made, the graphic there shows from April through June, there was quite an increase. And not only in tonnage, but in the amount of trips. You know, the dumps, that's the number of times they actually went to the landfill. They fill up pretty quick in these cases, because a lot of this brush is quite large. It doesn't take a lot to fill up the truck. However, it does a lot of times take a while to sift through the piles and get everything loaded. So it's just it's an arduous task. It takes time, and I've learned that watching these operators go out and pick it all up. But you can see there, you know, year over year, just to give you an example, you know, June, we went from about 91 tons last year to 357 tons this year, and that's a direct result of the storms, which hit back in May. So you can see the jump there. So it's an obvious problem, but I think we're turning the corner on it, and we're going to work on ways to get better, so that this doesn't continue to be an issue the next time around. And we really hope that we can get it picked up a little quicker. And also the grinding contractor is set up at the landfill, should be starting, he may have started today. We had a little bit of a pause. TDEC was going to make us get a air quality permit to grind brush. Fortunately, between Tony and the contractor, they got a hold of somebody in Nashville, and we're able to get an exemption for that. So that grinding will start if it hasn't already. So we're making progress, and we appreciate the town's patience. And we know we've been telling people for a while that we're behind, and I think we're about to fix that. So that's kind of where we stand with it.
Well, you were working hard to get ahead of this, and there was just too much. So I hope people, if they're watching, can hear that we are doing all that we can to catch up, and we will. But when there's big times like we've had, we just need patience. So thank you so much for coming up. Any other questions or comments?
We have 2 trucks operational, correct?
And they've been running, we normally work the 4 to 8, the 4 10s. The guys have been running extra on Fridays, trying to get things picked up. Had a couple instances where they've been running past late in the afternoon, so, but it looks a lot better out there just driving around today in some of those harder hit areas. It looks a lot better, so we're getting there.
So thank everyone.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Then I'd also like to ask Aaron to come up for just a minute and talk a little bit some of the things that have been going on at the library for the last 6 weeks.
Okay, so I'm not really good about bragging on ourselves. But Cal asked me to come today. He was at our library this morning. And today was the last day of our summer reading program. We've been running it for the last 6 weeks. And we had some really nice things going on this summer. And we did have record attendance this summer. We had over 300, well, almost 300 kids register. And then we actually had over 250 actually come at some point during the program. On average, we had 150 kids every Tuesday morning, plus all their grown-ups. So we had a lot of traffic at the library. We just wrapped it up today, so we haven't done a lot of statistical analysis, but if we have 250 kids and they each read probably over 600 minutes each, that's a lot of thousands of minutes that we're getting kids to read and getting them involved. The theme this year was Color Our World, which was all about art, which was really fun. The kids were really excited. The second week we had them, I brought in white quilt squares, and then they took fabric markers and decorated their quilt squares. And then what I did was I took all the quilt squares, there were 130 some of them, and then I put all their art into quilts that were gonna hang up at the library. And the kids were really excited today to see all their art and see, oh, that's upside down. But to see how we've taken their art and actually made it like something that we can display in the library. So spent a lot of time on that. So we just were really excited and proud. I would like to do a shout out to the other Erin at the library, because she works on it all year long, goes to the trainings, does all the kind of deciding what's going to happen. I think this year we had over 10 volunteers every Tuesday who put in an average of 3 to 4 to 5 hours. So it gets in a lot of volunteers. We just had a really great time, and I'm kind of glad it's over because we like to rest in July. But also what I did want to also say is that the library was very fortunate this year to get $5,000 worth of funding from community agencies to provide this program. Today, they not only got goodie bags to take home, we bought enough books so that every kid that came today got a new free, like nice brand new book to take home and keep for their own library. So I wanted to thank the Buell and Mildred Brooks bequest from Trinity Methodist, the Mary G. K. Fox Foundation, the Greenville Women's Club, the Friends of the Library, and the Andrew Johnson Women's Club, and they made all this possible. So I'm just really proud of what we've accomplished, what our staff does. We have a great staff right now, and it couldn't be better. So please kind of keep us on your Facebook feed. We do a lot of really great things. In July, we kind of like try to regroup and get caught up on a lot of stuff, but come August, we'll have a lot of programming going on again. So thank you, Cal, and I appreciate that. There are 3 other quilts that were put together with all the other squares, so if you want to come by and look at them, they are at the library.
And who did those quilts together?
I did.
So,
Wow.
nice. It's also really cool that there were people getting there even though there wasn't a road to get there. So they were finding their way to get there. So thank you so much, Aaron. And then the last thing I want to talk about is we had talked about doing we've got some things going on with the Greenville Tennis Center. So I'm sorry, folks. But we're going to talk about what the next steps are a little bit, and got a couple here. And if they've got questions or anything, be happy to.
Yeah, it's probably good to start with the last county commission meeting, which county commission met and basically came up with an offer that we've got on the table. And the offer is we've got a lot of collectively owned property at the Hal Hennard Road between the school system and the shooting range. And the county commission has offered to kind of separate the ownership out. And so there's 50 acres behind the Greenville Technology Center that is owned collectively with the county school system in the town of Greenville. That is proposed to be donated completely to the county government as a buffer for the shooting range. And then in turn, we'll separate out the sports complex function. So the softball fields, the tennis courts would be separated out. Those would be town-owned. So the firing range would be county-owned. The sports complex would be town-owned. 50 acres behind the Greenville Technology Center would be county-owned, attached with the shooting range. And on top of that, the county commission has offered $75,000 towards fixing the tennis complex, as long as the town and the city school system would contribute $75,000 apiece for a total of $225,000. That would go pretty much the whole way to fix the tennis courts, and I think we're looking at $235,000 or $240,000 for a complete total fix. So that's the offer on the table. I think it's probably a pretty good deal, a pretty good opportunity to work with the county on just clarifying ownership and fixing a tennis complex. And with the city council's guidance and feedback and your concurrence, I can start working with the county government to bring a formal agreement back to you for approval to make that agreement happen.
Is that 50 acres, 2/3, 1/3?
It's 1/3 owned by the town of Greenville, 2/3 owned by the county school board.
I just said that same thing, but backwards.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, yes.
Okay. So, has it been appraised?
It has been appraised, well, no, that 50 acres has not been appraised. That portion has not been appraised.
I just see that the tennis courts are gonna be an ongoing, the sports complex is gonna be an ongoing expense for the town also.
Yes.
So we really have to weigh that also and what they're offering right now for our third of the 50 acres, whatever that, 16.3. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Do
So
we
our first
have,
step-
oh, excuse me, Tim.
Our first step is,
First step is to work an agreement with the county to formalize all this on paper and bring it back to you all and the county commission to approve this.
Do we have that in our budget?
No, we don't have the 75,000.
And does the city school system have that in their
I don't
budget?
think they do. So we would have to amend the budget to do that.
and they're offering 75,000 in trade. But we give up our portion of the shooting range.
We do.
We still have the ability to use the shooting range for the police department.
Yeah, I talked to Mayor Morrison about that. He was firmly committed to keeping access for our police department to use that shooting range for all the purposes they need for it.
But I would get that in an interlocal agreement.
Okay.
So can we give Todd approval to start the discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think we need a
I
motion.
don't
Just,
think we don't have it on the agenda, so if you just agree, we can get him started and then go from there.
and I'll bring back an agreement to you for formal approval.
Any comments from y'all? Come up, please, David.
Yeah, the tennis center has 2 pods of courts. There's 3 courts on each pod. One of them is in severe need of repair now, and the other will be in the future. The typical life of those courts is somewhere between 17 and 20 years, and we're right on 20 years of the life of those courts. So you mentioned there'll be some ongoing expense. Yeah, there probably will be, but we've got a great facility there that we need to take care of for the community. A lot of people use it. we've got a lot of change going on right now. We've got new board members. We've got Art Kennedy has come back on as a pro. That has already just started quite a bit of interest in it. So thank you all for considering taking care of this for us, and hope we can get it done.
Is one of those still a red clay court?
It was never red clay, it is composite clay.
Composite.
There are 2 clay courts right now, they're needing repair, we've actually got those shut down right now. And that's some consideration we will have to consider down the road a little bit from the tennis center as to whether we continue those clay courts. There's been discussion of converting them to pickleball courts. So that's something we'll have to look at as well.
I think with the tennis, with the pro down there, doesn't the USTA maybe have some opportunities for grants and such?
There is opportunities, and some of the grants they have are very restrictive, so we've looked into those. There's some new ones we've just located, as well as there's a meeting next Thursday, I think it's July the 10th, in Bristol with Tennessee USTA. And they're looking to come back in, kind of backing up to how it originally started, to develop the leagues that we once had here and to grow the USTA here in Greenville, Greene County. That meeting is next week, July the 10th in Bristol, so we hope to have some representatives there and leverage USTA Tennessee to help get this thing going back in. And then also, they have some grants available, and we'll be looking into those.
I would add something just to Tim's point. I think that as you're going through trying to create the interlocal agreement for this, having some type of a plan for sustainability, how we're going to maintain the upkeep of it moving forward, because I know that's been some concern over several different types of projects. We go in and we do it, and then it doesn't necessarily stay, maintained the way that it should. And so if you could do some digging into what that would look like and have that as part of the plan, I think that would help us make a more informed decision for long term.
All right, thanks, David. Appreciate you.
That 225,000 doesn't include the clay court repair.
No, I don't believe that is.
Of the 2, which 2 of them are clay and 1 of them's asphalt or whatever.
There is 2 pods. Each one of those pods has 3 courts on it. Those are asphalt. Then there is the 2 clay courts. The clay courts, they take a lot of maintenance. So right now, we've got those shut down. Does that answer your question?
I guess. I
Okay,
mean,
well, I can
but
help.
the money we're looking at right now doesn't take care of any revision of those clay courts,
No, it does not.
even the conversion.
No. No, we're just trying. Cracks have gotten probably, there's some 1/4 inch wide, and they're just continuing to grow on that main pod right behind the offices, this building. We're trying to make sure those are taken care of. Now, if you guys want to do 150,000, we'll see if we can get the county to do 150,000, take care of all the courts at one time, but,
We'll get that on our money tree.
well, I was gonna say, we don't wanna be too greedy, but we need to get at least these first 2 courts taken care of, 3 courts.
And I think we need to also be aware of the courts were paid for by grant dollars, and they're supposed to stay in be here, or take the money, give them the money back.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something we really need to be considerate of as we're talking about this, because we need these things for the high school. If y'all can start playing and start going back out there and spending some money, then it could be a good thing for all of us.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, is there any public comments?
I have one comment. I just want to take the opportunity to formally thank everyone who had reached out to me over the last few weeks. As most of you are aware, my family faced an unexpected life circumstance, and the outpouring from this community has been amazing. The phone calls, the texts, the visits, just the care that you all have showed me and my family. You just can't express how much that means, and I just want to take the opportunity to really thank everyone for that. So, thank you.
Is there anybody on it? Okay. We got him. All right. Well, now we'll move to unfinished business. Item 7.1 is consideration to approve the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting held on Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. And these came out last Friday, so we got a copy of it. Do I hear a motion to approve it?
Second.
Was there a motion? Tim did a motion. Speak up.
So moved.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Even Guy could hear it this time. So, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further comments or suggestions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 8.1 is review of the 2025 strategic planning concept.
Mayor, in your board package and city council members, page 8 is just a process concept. And I'm not going to go through all the details of this, but I wanted to start laying out a rough timeline. Going back in November of last year when we had a city council retreat, you all gave me direction that when we looked and reviewed our current strategic plan, there were items that we've accomplished, and there are several items we've accomplished, and there are a few items that we just thought we need to just shift course, maybe reevaluate, and it got us on the conversation of, well, maybe we just need to renew a completely new strategic planning process. And so the board was in consensus to let's start a new process in the year 2025 of a new strategic plan. So on the board and in your packet is just a rough outline. Just conceptually, I've put together a process that includes public feedback through a survey, and Christina and I have already started working on how that survey looks, and it essentially is asking for citizen input. What services do we do well? What services do we not do well? How can we improve? Are you willing to pay for additional services or improve services? If so, at what level are you willing to pay for these services? So putting a survey out in August, and then in September following that up with a public meeting of in-person feedback from citizens and getting feedback, and then taking that feedback and then with the city council and senior staff sitting down with feedback from both the survey and from the in-person meeting, and us collectively sitting down to say, how do we take this citizen feedback and how do we look into the next 10 years of Greenville? There's a lot that's changed in the last 4 or 5 years in Greenville. I anticipate that level and volume of change is going to continue over the next 10 years. How do we stay on top of it? And so I propose in the fall that city council, senior staff get together in a meeting to start pitting ideas of how do we develop strategies for getting us to where we want to be in the next 10 years. That's going to require some homework, I think, from staff in October, November, and follow that back up with a kind of a meeting with city council on a draft concept and ideas, taking your feedback, and then having one final community session with the community of getting final community feedback and then a final stamp of approval from city council. Hopefully January 2026 or so. So any questions, feedback?
I've got one comment. So you mentioned that you were wanting to gather community feedback and then go through the review process of that feedback. One comment or piece of advice or suggestion I would have is to maybe let's look at some of the feedback that's already been collected from the community over the last year. Just reading over this, I brought up Jenny Kidwell's Livability Committee's report. There's a lot of really great stuff in here. So I don't think we need to necessarily start from scratch on gathering feedback when we've got pretty recent feedback from our community. So that would be one suggestion, is that maybe you either overlay the feedback we've already collected from the community in the strategic planning process, or maybe use it to help guide the questions to get more a more focused response. But, you know, people have given feedback and input, and we've got reports, so let's use them.
Yeah, good point. We got a Parks and Rec master plan that was recently done, this feedback, so that's a good point.
Also, I'd like to remind everyone of the 20 plan that we had and go back and take a look at it and see what we've gotten done over the last 10 years and maybe some of the things that we can look back at and continue to build on. So there's still a few of those around over town, aren't there?
Yes.
About 230 or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if anyone wants a copy, feel free to get it.
Just a lot of really great feedback. Looking back through these plans, like a lot of the conversations that we've had over the last few months, like it almost felt like, oh, we talked about that here. We have some input on that. So just, you know, putting all that to use and, you know, not let our efforts be in vain.
Yeah.
Any other comments or? All right. Next is item 8.2. It's discussion on policy development for hotel motel funding.
Yeah, you put it up there. Yeah, I shared this memo with City Council, I think yesterday, and I sent it out a couple weeks ago as well. So the hotel motel tax discussion and ever-changing aspects of the hotel motel tax that comes from the state. The one bit of feedback that we continue to get from the state comptroller's office is to develop a policy from the city council that guides how we spend hotel motel tax dollars. And in looking at just historically over the last couple of years how we spend it, it seems like there's two options. There's two ways to spend hotel motel tax money if you put it in the, you know, within the confines of tourism and how the state defines tourism. But there's two ways to spend that. One's operations, so that's kind of your ongoing expenditures for things, and I've put examples, marketing, advertising, event planning, execution, materials for event execution, staff time, other recurring expenses. So that's one way, recurring costs. The other way we can spend monies are on capital investment, capital projects. These are obviously large pieces of equipment or property. Some of these include stages, portable bathrooms, bleachers, infrastructure for tourism, construction facilities, other large one-time expenses for tourism-related expenses. So you've got kind of your operational side, you've got a capital infrastructure side. So how do you consider a policy? Do you want to go one way? Do you want to go another? Or do you want to do some mixture of both? So as we as the staff are trying to give put some meat to the bones of a policy to bring back to you in August, what direction do you want us to go? And I should back up. Today we're looking for feedback. We're not looking for you to vote on anything, but we're looking for feedback to come back to you at the first meeting in August with a draft policy for expending hotel motel tax that you can formally vote on. But so for the next 4 weeks or so, we're going to be drafting this. But today we're just looking for your feedback. How do you want us to focus? Operations, capital investment, some combination of both in this policy? Thoughts?
I like to see a combination of both, actually. I don't believe in putting eggs in one basket. So, I mean, we do need to start working on buildings we own also. And we can use that, correct? We can use it on buildings and
You can.
infrastructure as far as roads out on the bypass, turning lanes, whatever. I know we're not going to do anything with the first year's money.
Right.
But over the years, it's going to be quite a bit of money that we can do projects with. That's what I'd like to see.
I agree. I think that you have to have some level of a combination of both, and you use monies to create something really great to attract outside visitors for tourism. You have to have some way to market that to those outside visitors for tourism. So if you don't focus your efforts on the marketing and advertisement piece of this, then we just got a really cool building or asset or something that at that point it's just for the town of Greenville, not really directed towards the outside visitors, which is the whole point of the tourism dollars to begin with. So that would be my suggestion, piggybacking off of Tim, is I'd like to see a combination of operations and capital in a policy. And maybe in a plan, have like an actual, like a mock project of what that would look like in practice, not just like, here's a percentage of this, a percentage of that. Maybe have like a potential example to what that would look like in practice.
Can you use that money actually on like engineering studies for what the bypass is going to need or not? Or does it actually have to be physical work? Because I think we need to get a plan out there as soon as possible.
We do.
Yeah, and that might be something we need to pay for. I'm just wondering if we could, the first year, help pay for that.
There's so much gray area in this latest state legislature right now, the state law. There's so much gray area. The access road, that may be even a more gray area or not. I don't know. You're connecting tourist facilities to hotels, restaurants, gas stations. Obviously, tourists use the hotels, and this road would be a benefit to tourism. So, to me, it's not a stretch, but I'm not the state. That's the state of Tennessee that defines projects.
The comptroller's office decides that, correct?
That's changed. This latest law has changed to the Tourism Development Office for the state of Tennessee.
It's run by the comptroller.
I don't think
Separate
so.
department.
Yeah.
Well, Todd, what about, the comptroller's office says do this and develop this policy. I mean, we're obviously not the first city to grapple with this. Are there other cities like Sevier County and, inside Sevierville, Gatlinburg and all, ways they approach, their hotel motels? Heck, I know their numbers are huge, but, and, the TML also may have some templates so we don't have to start from scratch.
One of the reasons the comptroller gave us some feedback of just slowing down the expenditure of hotel motel tax this year is just because so much has changed, and the comptroller hasn't had time to kind of assess and develop a model policy, and that's probably something that I don't check my MTAS resource here. I mean, MTAS does policies all the time, and maybe they could help us draft some language that does what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So, MTAS would be a good resource.
And another thing too, though, for me is we're leaving so much uncertainty on the people that we usually fund. I think we need to I think Tim Teague might have sort of been alluding to this, is this year, we're holding that money back for this year, but, there's like short-term and long-term approach.
There is.
My opinion is we've been holding these folks back for the last 3 months, and we got people that don't know what they're going to do for the next year. If we cut them off right now for 2026, that's not a very good way to run business, my opinion. I also think we keep talking about we need a policy. Nobody knows. There's one group that was first put in, and then the county was another one put in, and now new citizens or towns have been put in, and they all have different things.
And then they amend it.
And then they're amending it. Also, we're talking about having a strategic planning concept, and I think that this needs to be a part of that strategic planning. Putting together a policy over a month when we've been working for 3 months and still really don't know any more about it than we did 3 months ago, I'm afraid that will not be it won't be the most the best ability of our crap. I don't think we'll do as good a job as I'd like to. So that's my opinion. So,
I agree. I think we can look at creating a policy, but I don't think we need to hold back funding from the entities that are reliant on the funding this year.
Did we ever get a opinion from the comptroller's office about what we could spend it on? Because that was up in the air whether or not we could even spend it on what we spent it on last year.
No, the latest feedback from the comptroller's office was basically this is being shifted to the tourism development office, and the comptroller is out of it. So all of our reports now go to the tourism development office, and comptroller.
Unless I'm mistaken, if they say that we can't do what we've been doing, we have to repay it out of the general fund.
That's correct.
We probably need an answer on that then.
Yeah.
well, there have been some, because we changed with Dixon Williams,
Yeah.
and because we found that one was wrong. And do we really think the state will say, you got to give this money back? We didn't know how to do it, and we didn't know what you needed to do, and this is all but now give it back to me. Heck, fired.
There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of unknowns.
Well, we can't be the only one that's unknown.
No.
So I
think we need to make a decision about this year. We set aside, what, 264,000. Isn't that what, wasn't that the amount?
260 or 280? Was it 260 or 280?
I think it's a 264.
264.
We need to decide and distribute that money and then work to have our ducks in a row for next year. And have a meeting with the tourist development commissioner.
Absolutely. I reached out to MTS today. I just want to know, how many cities have them? How many has a policy? How are they using it for? I haven't had a call back yet, but I think that there's probably some data out there that we can get together and at least hear what other people are doing. Maybe not. And if there's not, then the state's got a lot bigger problem than we do, in my mind. So, what's your name? Jenny's name. With that, I knew that one. I did. I really did. With the discussion on a policy development, can we take a vote today?
I'm not looking for a vote, just feedback.
It's not really before
Well,
us.
she's talking about having for 2026 spend.
Yeah, I would suggest we come back with it.
It's on the agenda as discussion, not.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can do that in 2
Consideration, you
weeks.
2 weeks, we'll have that. And that'll give us some time also to get some more people. And maybe talk to our,
And there were also updates to that legislation, the piece of legislation that we were originally presented with that kind of gave us pause on how we could spend that. There were pieces of that legislation that were completely removed as of May 1st of 2025. So I think that we revisit it at our next meeting, and we need to make a decision for 26.
okay, thank you. Any further discussion about this? Okay. Next is item 8.3, is consideration to approve a resolution authorizing the town to participate in the PEP Safety Partners Matching Grant Program. If awarded, the grant funds will be used for GFD to purchase rescue equipment. Hello, Chief Shipley.
Mayor,
How are you, sir?
doing well, thank you. We would ask the board's approval to apply for the PEP grant. We're going to utilize it to replace some of our safety harnesses and rescue equipment. The equipment existing we have is ending its life cycle, and this would help. It's a $3,000 grant with 50% match.
What kind of stuff is it?
Basically harnesses, rescue helmets. We saw when a lien hit that we didn't have enough equipment actually to utilize. So we were sending personnel out that didn't have the appropriate equipment. And Kendall's done a good job of looking at what we actually have and seeing now that it does have a life expectancy on some of that equipment, so we're trying to get ahead of the curve and get some of it replaced.
Do you have the matching portion in your
Yes, sir.
budget?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Item 8.4 is consideration to approve the annual renewal of the records management software, Carasoft Technology Corporation for the Greenville Fire Department.
Yes, sir. This is our software that we updated last year, and we wanted to just come back and let the board know. Of course, we got it all in place. It's working really good. We had like 3 separate vendors that covered everything, and they didn't talk to each other, and it was really hard. But this is working extremely well, and we're asking to be able to renew that software.
What kind of stuff is it? What are you getting?
It tracks our anything from our instant calls that we go on, so it will track those calls. It will track our medical calls, pre-plans that we go around and do plans for businesses, fire hydrants,
Records management, huh?
anything records. It does track, yeah. Our staffing, the whole 9 yards. So training.
Okay.
Good.
And that's in the budget?
It is. Yes.
Okay. Do I
I'll
hear
make that motion.
Second.
motion and a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank y'all.
Next is item 8.5, consideration to approve the annual renewal of the town's fleet management software, Fleetio.
Yes, sir.
I wonder where they come up with these names.
So yes, this is the annual renewal for the town's fleet management software. It's before you today because the addition of the vehicles went from around 60 to 174, and that price has gone up a bit beyond the $10,000 mark.
The total price being $11,566.80.
It's budgeted, correct?
Yes, it is.
I'll make that motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
So if I can embarrass Kevin for just a second. When we started with Fleetio, it was just the police department. And Kevin did 95% of the heavy lifting on getting this installed and put together. We figured out real quick that it was cheaper to pay for this software than the man hours that it took Kevin and Assistant Chief Hixon to do the day-to-day work on the cars, as far as record keeping and maintenance and all the rest of that. It paid for itself the first year. And then after 3 or 4 or 5 years, picked it up for the rest of the town, and I would guarantee he's doing the same thing for the rest of the town. But Kevin did 90% of the heavy lifting on this to begin with, so that goes under the radar.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Turn
I
around.
can do a lot better job embarrassing you than he did. Thanks, Kevin.
I think you need to come back here. Oh, no, it's another one. Item 8.6 is consideration to approve contract between Urban SDK and Greenville Police Department.
Good afternoon. Greenville Police Department's trying to go into a contract with Urban SDK. And what this is it's software. It'll be paid for by litigation. We did put it in the budget this year. It's a 3-year contract, and I did find out after we did a little bit of looking, we may next year be able to have our THSO funds help pay for some of it. So it looks like that it will pay for some of it. But Urban SDK is just a software package that we can utilize to help prioritize our manpower when it comes to traffic. The information this stuff gives, it tracks like 300 different things, and it tells you volumes, speeds, from this intersection down to this intersection. I can tell you in a year's time the fastest speed, the slowest speed, 95 percentile, 75 percentile, 25 percentile speeds that go down through it. It could be used for economic development, prioritize, or traffic congestion relief. So it's just not used, it actually won't just be used inside the police department. But, and the beautiful thing about it is it's web-based. It's the only thing that is web-based. It's the only company out there that offers this that is web-based. And so we could give it to Scott, we can give it to planning, and that way they can utilize different aspects of it to help out in their work as well.
What is traffic calming? It says it streamlines tasks such as traffic calming. What is that?
The what now?
Traffic calming?
Speed bumps.
Yeah.
Slowing traffic down.
So,
Oh.
given this right here, they'll give us a year back of all the data that they have. So as soon as we start with it, I can tell you what all these speeds were on these streets before we put these speed bumps out, and I can show you the positive effects that it's probably had on slowing people down and changing people's driving behaviors.
Well, I've seen the positive effects of the speed bumps on Lake Street, so thank you.
You're welcome. But I think it's like Fleetio, this technology right here is going to be able to help us out tremendously. You know, where we're getting a traffic division going, or to help with the influx of population during the daytime, and the person that's going to be over that traffic division is going to have access to this. He'll be setting it up, and he will be being able to bring data to you guys, showing you what we do.
You can tailor your response to what the conditions are.
Yep. Our main goal is just to get out here and change people's driving behaviors.
You can buy software with litigation funds.
Yes.
Enough money in litigation. Do we have enough money in litigation to take care of this?
Yes, we do.
Motion to approve.
A motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank
you. You know, the partnership has, what's that called? The travel people. Yeah. I don't know if there's any way that might could work together or.
Well, when we get it, you guys can come up. We'll show you what ours does. Yeah.
But it might not, but it just.
I get phone calls all the time. They keep me right here flying on my road. I need you to send somebody over here. And so I send an officer over there to sit for an hour and literally radar every car that comes through and write the speed down. And it was a waste of an hour's pay, of manpower, because the last time we did it, the speed limit was 30 and the average speed was 32 miles an hour. So, and most of them were actually running under 30. There was one car that came through there a little bit faster. He wasn't real bad, but it helped offset to drive the speed up. So, it's going to allow us to be able to, if somebody calls and complains, we can pretty much give that person an instant response. Instead of saying, hey, okay, we'll look at it and call you back. We can just pull it up on the computer and it'll tell us what the speeds are. Big Brother at its finest, tracking everything moving. Doesn't give names, it just tells speeds.
And then you can sell them or send them an electronic ticket.
No, we're not.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I promise, I'm joking.
The paper.
He's talking to himself walking down that way. Item 8.7 is consideration of a special event sign request for Lyrics on the Lawn held on Thursday evenings in July. Coming very soon.
Yeah, this is something Main Street's done now for 12 years. Wow, that's, it's been going on for a while. I've reviewed all the locations. Of course, Jan works really well with this, and it meets all the requirements or the regulations, and it's recommended for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those again, like sign, motion carries. Real quickly, go see Lyrics on the Lawn Thursday, and then we've got our American celebration downtown on Saturday, and we'll have fireworks on Saturday night, so take advantage of our community. And look at Captain Pierce back there. How cool does he look? Huh? Very dapper. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those against? Say aye. Okay.
Yeah.
Say aye, me, we.
All righty. Mercifully brief.
It's crazy, you're never grown smarter, right?
I'm getting there, huh?
Snap.
I still have some.
They're not doing great. I mean, good considering, you know.